All right, folks, Merry Christmas. We're going to be reading Santa is Coming to Louisiana. Well, boomed Santa, have all the children from Louisiana been good this year? Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that children of Louisiana had sent him. Mostly, asked Santa, looking over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been especially good in the last few days, said the elf. Jolly good, chuckled Santa. Then we'd better get their presents loaded up. Even though the sack of presents was really, really big and the elves were really, really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it onto Santa's sleigh. Though how they managed to fit such a big sack into one little sleigh, even they didn't know. But somehow they did. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing. Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him and called him, but just then a young reindeer strolled up, munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Asked Santa. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly that it was no wonder he didn't hear the little old elf calling. Oh well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out his Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for Louisiana. This will guide us to Louisiana in no time. With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went racing through the sky. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We'll soon have these presents delivered to the Pelican State. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south across the Arctic Ocean. On they flew in the wintry air over Canada. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying above the Mississippi and on to Louisiana. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before.
They were just nearing Lake Pontchartrain when suddenly they ran into a thick fog. Mist swirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem concerned. In 2 miles, said the Santa nav in a bossy lady's voice. Keep left at the next star. But ma'am, Santa blustered, I can't see any stars in all this fog. Soon, they were hopelessly lost. Then, through the swirling fog, the youngest reindeer heard a faint ringing sound. Ding dong. He looked over at the reindeer with the red nose, but he had his head down. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. There was that sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa, but Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off toward the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him. Whoa, cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. What's going on? Then to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound. Well done, young reindeer, he shouted cheerfully. It must be church bells. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming. Then suddenly, crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the fog. You have arrived, said the Santa nav unhelpfully. Finally, when the fog had lifted, Santa discovered exactly where they were, stuck right around the spire of St. Louis Cathedral. Everybody pull! The reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear and Santa steered them safely over the French Quarter above Tulane, past the New Orleans Museum of Art, and down into City Park. Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted out the presents into order again. "All right," said Santa, "thanks to this, young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming."
Santa drove his sleigh expertly from rooftop to rooftop, all over Louisiana, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could go, which was pretty fast for a chubby fella. There were big chimneys in Baton Rouge and small chimneys in Lafayette. He squeezed down thin chimneys in Shreveport and plummeted down fat chimneys in Alexandria. The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quickly they went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children in Louisiana were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry too. In house after house, Santa delved inside his sack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under the Christmas trees and carefully filled up the stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Louisiana had left out a plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, and a big crunchy carrot. Santa took a little bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard, and popped the carrots into his sack. From New Orleans to Lake Charles, from Natchitoches to Denham Springs, from Monroe to Metairie, and all the places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Louisiana. Santa delivered presents to Andrew, Allison, Anna, Arabella, Archie, Ashley, and the list went on and on. Zach, Zara, Zeb, Zoe, Zibble. Zibble? That must be a spelling mistake, surely. Finally, Santa had delivered the last present on his long Louisiana list. "Great moons and stars," sighed Santa. "It's past midnight, and my sack seems as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone." Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa divided the carrots among all the reindeer. "Well done," he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was too busy munching. Then it was time to set off for home. Santa reset his Santa nav once more to the North Pole, and soon they were speeding over the Mississippi River Bridge through the crisp, starry night. "Ho, ho, ho," laughed Santa. "Merry Christmas, Louisiana."